In this video, you will learn all there is to know about student loans. Let's get into it. If you're a citizen of some of the most popular study destinations like the US, the UK, Canada, Australia, then you have a lot of loan options available to you. Now, if you're not a citizen but you have a co-signer who is a citizen or permanent resident of those countries, you still have a lot of options available for you. So let's start today's video by talking about what exactly you should know about getting a co-signer and how that impacts your application. So we'll start there, but the bulk of this video, I would want to talk about the options that you have as an international student without a co-signer. But before we get into that, let's start with you that has a co-signer. So a couple of things for you to note in case you have someone that could be a co-signer, or you are thinking about a couple of people that you want to approach to be co-signers for you. Now let's get into it. First is co-signers are liable if you default. So what that means, if there's a default on your loan, the co-signer has to pay. Essentially, if you take a loan with a co-signer and you do not pay back when you need to pay, when you need to make payments, you miss a payment or something, your co-signer is liable. That's the most important thing you need to know. So as you're thinking about the right people for you to approach to be co-signers for you or to be a co-signer for you, you need to think about the fact that these people will be held liable if you default on your loan for any reason. That's the first thing. The other thing is co-signers must have a good credit score. So for a lot of these countries you're considering to go study at, there's a credit scoring system, and many people have a credit score, and for someone to be your co-signer, they must have some credit worthiness. So essentially, a lot of these loan providers will check their credit score or their credit rating, whatever you want to call it. So that's the second thing you need to note. If the person you're considering doesn't really have a good credit score, they may not be eligible to be a co-signer for you, sadly. The third thing is many or some providers prefer a co-signer who is working actively. So for some, you can't be a retiree who is no longer earning. But of course, I think if your co-signer has retired but with billions of dollars, okay, with a lot of millions in the bank or assets, maybe this won't be an issue, but just something for you to note and check out. So for many loan providers, the person must be earning or actively working and not really depending on the government support system for the elderly. So but just check that for your loan provider. Just something I want to put on your radar as well. Okay, the fourth thing you need to know is you get better terms like interest rates and all of that if you have a co-signer. So if you're someone that's considering, okay, should I ask this person to be my co-signer or not, or should I just apply for the loans myself, you get better rates. If you use a good co-signer, you will likely get better rates. So that's something for you to explore. Now, what are some examples of these loans that you can apply to? There's so many, depending on the destination you're thinking about. There's so many options for you. And when I say so many, it's because compared to what people who are international students have, it's so many. It's 10x. So there's so many options. Just Google loan options for students in Canada, or loan options or study loan options for students in the US or in the UK. There are many options for you if you're already a citizen and you've worked in that country, or you have a co-signer who is a citizen or permanent resident and works in the country. There are many options for you. Now, all of that said, let's get into the tricky one, which is the loan options that you have as an international student without a co-signer. Hi my friend, hope you found today's video helpful so far. See, today's video is part of a series of videos that I'm doing to help you navigate the entire application, funding, visa process. So all these videos over the next few weeks will just be added to a single playlist, and that playlist will be in my description. If you click that playlist, you will find all these videos and you will be able to navigate the entire application process by yourself. So if you have any friend that you know is applying to schools in the US, the UK, Canada, Australia this year, and they cannot afford to have an admissions coach, please send them this single link so they can navigate the entire process as well. Be nice to them. So send this link to them and let's get back to the video. Let's talk about the loan options that you have as an international student without a co-signer. Now, there are a couple of options. I'll mention them quickly and I'll touch on a few of them for a bit. One is Prodigy Finance, the other is Mpower Finance, the third is Quorum Federal Credit Union, and then the fourth is Lendwise. These are the four main options that I know about. Now, you, my friend, you must know more than I do. I know that. I'm sure about that. So if you have come across an option that I haven't mentioned here as part of the list for loan options for international students without a co-signer going to these popular destinations, please pull my ear in the comments. Like, tell me, come say something to me in the comments. So let me know in the comments, and other people can also benefit from that. So these are the four options that I know. Let's talk a bit about each of them. Prodigy supports schools in the EU, the US, the UK. Prodigy supports a lot of those countries, and Prodigy is by far, so far, the biggest of the options that we have as international students without a co-signer. I get a lot of questions many times saying, oh, Prodigy doesn't only support schools in the US. I'm like, that is so far from the truth, because Prodigy was actually founded by people based in the UK, I believe, and Prodigy's headquarters is in the UK. So there is no way they will only support international students interested in the US. So just know, Prodigy funds students going to the US, the UK, EU countries, and I believe, I'm not sure about Canada, but I can check and confirm. So that's Prodigy. Then Mpower only supports North America, so US and Canada. So if you're exploring Mpower, just know you have to be applying to schools in the US or in Canada, so it's North America. And then Quorum Federal Credit Union is US only. It's a US credit union, and spoiler alert, that's the one that I used when I was applying to schools here. Well, I applied to a couple of options and then I ended up going with Prodigy. And then the last one is Lendwise, and Lendwise is UK based and for students interested in studying in the UK. Now that I have mentioned all those four options that I know of, I need you to know that I have done videos, like at least one video for each of these options. For Prodigy, maybe I have tens of videos at this point, but I will drop links in the description if you want all the detail, all the gist about each of these options, how you can apply, what to avoid, things to look out for. I will drop links in the description. Please take a look at those links and apply to watch those videos and then apply. I'm just trying to help here, my friend. So check those videos for the loan options you're interested in. I have done videos for all four of them at different times. All right, now let's talk about the key terms you need to pay attention to when you are reviewing your loan application. The first one is, of course, the interest rates, because money isn't free. Someone is giving you money to study. It's not free. They're not your parents, okay? They're going to charge you something for that. So look out for the interest rates, and if you're exploring more than one option, you can compare what's Prodigy offering versus what Mpower is offering. Typically it will be around the same thing, but every single 0.01% matters when you're taking these loans. So please look out for the interest rate. Interest rate is essentially what you'll be charged for that money you're getting. So that's all interest rate is. You're paying someone to use their money. That's it, okay? Second thing is the loan amount. This is typically what the loan amount you had asked for. Say for the entire 2-year program, you asked to get a loan of $50,000. For some loan providers, that will be approved. For some, it could be reduced. But I have not heard of a case where they gave you more than you asked for. That's it. So look out for the loan amount and make sure that's enough for you to go to school. If not, there's no point taking it and then not being able to show proof of show the visa office proof of how you will pay the full tuition and living expenses for the entire duration of your study. The third is fees, like origination fees and all of that. Many of these loan providers will also charge you some fees. maybe origination, maybe fees for whatever the fees are. They will charge you some fees, so look out for those and make sure it's not like anything crazy and you're aware. Many times we miss out on some of these tiny details that end up being important. Again, like I say, every 1%, 0.1% really matters here. And then the next one is loan term. Is this a 20-year loan? Is this a 5-year loan? Is this a 15-year loan? I believe what I got was a 15-year loan. I am not sure anymore. But at some point I will share my loan schedule, and then you can see what my journey was like repaying those loans. So loan term is something you should pay attention to. There's a whole lot of difference in terms of how you pay back, how much you end up paying back if it's a 20-year loan versus a 30-year loan versus a 15-year loan. I don't know that any international students these days are getting 30-year loans. That sounds crazy, but hey, look out for that. And then the fifth one is important. It's penalties. Penalties are important. This is just essentially the section where the loan provider will tell you, if you do this or do that or do this other thing, we will fine you, or you will have to pay a penalty of this amount. An example, some loan providers will penalize you for early payments. That means if you pay earlier than agreed, which is supposed to be a good thing, they could penalize you. So just kind of make sure you really understand the penalties. And pro tip, before you sign that loan agreement is the right time to ask all the questions. No question is stupid when we're talking about money. Okay, I'll leave that there. And then the next thing is grace period and repayment. It's easy to take loans, very difficult to pay back, my friend. So make sure you understand if the loan provider is offering you any grace period. I have explained grace period. Check my most recent video and you will understand what grace period means. But check if they are giving you any kind of grace period where you don't need to repay for that period, and giving you grace, maybe 6 months, maybe 3 months for you to get yourself together after graduation before you start repaying your loans. So that's another one you need to pay attention to. That's the grace period, and see what repayment terms and offers or incentives they're giving you. And then the next one is loan amount and disbursement schedule. We've talked about loan amount earlier, so this is more about disbursement schedule. When will they send the loans to your school? How will the process work? I have described in detail how the typical process works. Check the last video. I will put it in my description. But in case you missed that, let me give you a summary. The process for disbursing your loan typically is that they disburse to your school. The school takes out what you're owing them, like tuition and fees, and then they reimburse you with the balance that you can use for your living expenses, your rent, or any kind of thing, or if you want to enjoy yourself with the loan amount. That's up to you. But just make sure you understand the disbursement schedule. When exactly, what date is it? At the beginning of the semester, they'll send the dollars to your school or the pounds to your school. Just understand all of that, because remember, if you don't pay the school at the right time, some schools add a fee to what you're owing, so you're owing more. So you want to make sure the schedule works for your school. And then the next thing is, this one is not so important if you are not yet in the country, but just know, try to understand if your loan will be reported to any credit bureaus. Typically yes, I do believe, and mine was reported to credit bureaus. And why is this important? It means it will impact your credit score, your credit rating in that country you're going to. So you don't want to go into a country and you're already having terrible credit rating if you default on a loan or whatever. So just make sure you understand if your loans will be reported. My assumption is yes, it will be reported to some credit bureaus in that country, that your destination country. But don't take my word for it. Go do some research or ask the loan provider and they'll tell you that. And then the last one is interest, capitalization, accrual, whatever. Is it daily? Typically it's daily, but just confirm. They will just write it there one line if your interest will accrue daily or whatever frequency they work with. All right, my friend, I will pause this video there, and then I will do another video just answering the most popular loan questions that I've gotten in my almost 5 years of being on this channel, and over 6 years, about 6 years of being in this business of helping people get into their dream schools and getting the funding they need. Yeah, that's That's a long time, and I have gotten some questions about student loans consistently over the years, and in the next video I want to answer some of those interesting, juicy, tricky questions. So if you're interested in learning all about that, please join me in the next video. I'll see you then. Bye.